The Sam Talent shout out hits.
That was great. Yeah,
Really cool.
I love that story too. When people don't know that about you too, I love telling them about your past.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like that, I think. Yeah, it makes you unique. I think. How much do you think it makes you who you are? How much do you still think of yourself as like, well, I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't play basketball?
Oh yeah, I mean 100%. You do anything for 15 years, it's like, yeah, I mean absolutely. It was like every day for so long, and also a part of that is like when you're also like immersed in like a culture like that, that's hard to take out. Like people will, like there's just things I think that you've probably caught on where you're like that is such a athlete thing to say or do.
Well, of course, like yeah. I mean, like I've only known you through a comedy context, but like basically the shit that I talk about you is Drago's treating this shit like it's sports. Drago's treating this shit like it's sports. I've said that to your face. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
where it's like you'll just be like. You get a lot of reps on that, though. You get a lot of reps on that joke. It's good. It's good to get a lot of reps going with that.
Like, yeah, like I treated it like a sport. I approached it like a sport.
Comedy?
Yes, I think so. But like, I mean, don't a lot of people
absolutely
get like really competitive?
You are absolutely not alone in that, and I think especially stand up. I think it has the feeling. It definitely has a sport feeling. Like you do have to get reps. You do have to practice in order to like. Perform well.
Yeah.
You can't fall out of practice. People who are in practice are doing better. It's demonstrable. Also, the results are demonstrable more so than any. If you were like a painter, it would be harder for you to treat painting like sports.
Yeah. You lost me at demonstrable, but I want to keep
a way to demonstrate. Oh yeah, this is cute. You're not smart. Like you didn't go to Notre Dame.
I mean, listen, dude. The demonstrable is a word that caught me off guard.
Demonstratable. It's able to be demonstrated. So it's like the results are right there. You can hear the laughs or you can't.
That's fair.
You can watch the game tape, watch it back.
There's like they either like the ball went in or it didn't.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
The joke hit or it didn't. Yeah, I think that's like a comforting thing like about stand up. And that's like a nice thing. Like, that's like what kind of helps you figure out how to get better. That's probably one of the more furious things too, but that also shines the light on like how big the delusion is for some people, because a lot of guys, their jokes don't hit or their shots don't go in, and and then they're like they keep doing those jokes or they think it went in. It didn't go in and they think it went in. You know what I'm saying?
You saw this, I mean, because I know this in comedy. I know there are people who it's like, did they not hear? They just didn't hear what I heard.
In basketball, if you miss a shot, no one would ever miss a shot and be like, I made that shot.
I know, but like, are you saying there are guys who will take that same shot again, knowing they don't have it? Like, take a 30-footer.
Yeah,
and they don't have it.
There's definitely guys that think they can shoot that don't.
Yeah,
or that think they can shoot that can't shoot.
Whereas your 3-point percentage overall in your college career, your 3-point percentage, it looks like it was 33.
Yeah,
33,
34, 30. Yeah, 34 is. It's a very. I was a streaky shooter.
Okay.
I was a streaky. That's what my coach in college told me. He's like, you're a decent shooter, more of a streaky shooter. So it's like,
which coach was this? Notre Dame or Boston College?
Boston College.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just like, it's shooting is a lot like I think it felt like if you're playing like 15, 20 minutes a night, like you're playing half the game or less than half the game. It's like you kind of feel like a field goal kicker, like a kicker in football.
How do you mean?
Because you're gonna get 4 or 5 shots maybe, and you got to make those.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of like in the same way, when a kick, if the 5th, 6th, 7th option on the team like goes like 0 for 5, you're like, it's just kind of like, well, it wasn't a good game.
For him?
Yeah. Whereas like or like 1 for 5, but like if the best player on the team goes like 6 for 18 or whatever, but like gets to the line, like there's like there's like clear points of like where you're being judged on.
Okay.
If you make those shots, and it's Those are high pressure shots.
And your role was your role like kind of like fifth, sixth, seventh man?
Yeah, I was like there was like 2 years I'd say where I was like in and out of the starting lineup. My sophomore year at Notre Dame. Then my junior year at Boston College, I was like in and out of the starting lineup. Then I was benched, and then I came back and I was playing more, and then I was benched again.
Bench meaning you're not starting or you're not ever playing?
Benched was like not playing.
Okay.
My freshman and senior year, I didn't play at all. We had a new coach my senior year
At BC.
Yeah, he sat me down. He was like, "I don't really know you," and he's like, "I brought in some other guys, so I guess it'll be like a kind of a fair chance." But it was kind of like he wanted to play. I don't know.
He was pushing you off into the ice flow. It's like, listen, Drago, you're retired. Like I don't know you. We're doing a new thing here, and you're not in it. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, and it's a very it's a pretty business like atmosphere. There's not a lot of there's not like a lot of it's like between the coaches. There's not a ton of like. There's not like a lot of like family vibe with coaches and players. Between the players, definitely you feel like you're in a family.
It's more like the coach is your boss.
Definitely.
Okay.
I think I played for 3 coaches in college because one got fired at one of the 2 at Boston College. So it was like they're there. They're usually pretty cool guys, but they've got to keep like a business relationship with you.
Yeah.
You can't be too close with your players,
Were you ever too close to a coach?
The assistants you're close with.
Okay.
The assistants you're like
they're the middle management. They're like, hey, coach won't tell you, but you did take some good shot. Like they'll give you encouragement when the coach won't give it to you, or like they're just your buddy. They like, I know this sucks. He's being a dick today.
Yeah.
Or what?
Or they'll be like, "You go out last night? Like, what's going on?" And you're like, and they're very.
And you
like,
can tell them that you did go out.
There's a couple that you feel like you're close to, like that, but then I don't know. But you don't know. Sometimes you don't know who to trust or whatever. But it's that dynamic is very interesting. It's not like your high school experience or whatever.
Okay, yeah. Let's go back to high school. 'Cause I want to hear the story kind of from the beginning. So you've been playing. You played. When did you start playing?
Like when I was like 5 or 6,
right.
And then just like played every day. Played on teams.
And you were good.
You were
good throughout. You were always like good on the team. You were always tall.
I was always good, always pretty tall. And then I was like grew in high school.
What
really
year?
Grew. I was like I went from 5'11" to 6'6" in high school.
Like what? Were you sophomore or were you junior?
Freshman to sophomore year.
Okay. So were you just starting varsity? What was your high school?
Where was it?
I mean, it's in the
It's
suburbs,
in the
right?
suburbs of Chicago.
What town?
Northbrook.
And that was a high school team you played for?
Yeah. I played for my high school team. Then you play for travel teams, and
is that like AAU?
Yeah, AAU basketball. That's like where you start. Like
I don't understand AAU. What is your team on AAU? Like
it's
not Northbrook, right?
Yeah, there's like shoe companies that sponsor teams.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and there's like this whole. I mean, that's kind of like how they find guys when they're young. So like
that's how you get looks,
right? So shoe companies will sponsor. They'll sponsor like a team in Chicago. They'll sponsor a team in Philly, like Nike or whatever. Like that. Like my team, I played for a Reebok team.
But what was it? What area was it representing? Like
It was basically all of Illinois.
Really? Okay, so it was
it
a
was
good
like all
team.
Illinois, all of Chicago. So they would be called like the Illinois Warriors or like the Illinois Wolves or like.
And you audition, you try out, you try out for the team.
Yeah. I had a trainer that like vouched for me, called the coach when I was a freshman, and he was like, I trained this kid. Can he like try out? And the coach was like, we have guys who played varsity this year. It seems like your guy played sophomore, so I don't know if he'll play a lot. Then I went there and I played well. And then I played, I played a lot for I was one of the better players for the travel team but then you're on this. So then essentially you're on like this kind of Illinois All-Star team.
Yeah.
And then you're traveling around the country, and like Reebok's like, these shoe companies are like paying for you to travel.
Oh wow!
And
great.
what it really does, it's for like they hold these national tournaments, and all it is to really find the best like 2 or 3 players from that tournament, and then basically keep a relationship with them to sponsor them. So like
if they go to the NBA,
right? So like John Wall's first contract, he was with Reebok because he was discovered at a Reebok camp that I was at.
Wow.
So they found
you were
him
there with it?
I mean, with
were best
him,
friends?
with him, right? Yes, he beat, like we played 1-on-1 in this drill, and he beat me 3-0 like immediately. It was like one of the more humbling experience. He was so good.
That was cool. I think I've watched the NBA with you once or twice, and you're kind of giving background like that guy's a dick, or like I've met that guy.
Yeah, man. It's weird to see like it's like that's that kind of wave is now retiring. Some of the guys that I play with, but there's definitely some guys that are still in Europe, some guys are still in the league or around the league or that are coaching, and yeah, it's like
guys are retiring from the NBA who you played high school basketball with.
I think yeah, definitely.
They retire at like 29, 30?
Yeah, there's some guys that go from the league, then they go to
overseas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
my boy Andrew Nicholson from St. Bonaventure is playing overseas now, I guess. He played for the Magic for a little while.
Yeah.
He was our only NBA guy to come out of St. Bonaventure for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, dude, some guys just they kind of stretch it. And I mean, there's a lot more there's better ways to take care of your body. Guys can have like longer careers now.
Does that make you feel old that people are retiring from the job that you wanted? Because you wanted to be an NBA player?
I mean, obviously, I just knew that I didn't have the athleticism. I was so slow. And
were you slow like in a 100-meter dash, or are you talking about like
if I can put it this way, it's like I went to an all-white suburban school.
Sure. Let's make it racial.
Sure. I went to an all-white suburban school.
I mean, in basketball, it is racial.
My friends in high school, my high school like friends, like my buddies were like Alex, like you're not athletic, you're just like a good basketball player. I was not athletic for my friends. You know what I'm saying?
For your friends who played basketball?
For my friends who were on the soccer team.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So like my friends were like soccer players, like football players, and like like lacrosse, and they were like Alex, like they're like none of them were playing college anything. Like none of these guys were gonna, and they were like, Alex, you are way slower than all of us.
You slower on a sprint?
Absolutely.
Okay, and like changing direction rapidly, which is important in basketball.
Yeah, like lateral quickness.
It
was all bad. It was all so like I'd be at these camps or I'd be at these tournaments and I'd be playing well or whatever, and I'd be getting or I'd be playing well for my high school team. But it was all because I just kind of like drilled myself to death.
That is what. Yeah, you worked your way around your substandard athleticism. Is that how you?
Substandard, man, is a nice way of putting it. Sometimes, like, there's just like, I mean, I've just been in film rooms like with. I was at Notre Dame. I was in a film session, and my the coach turns the monitor off. We're about to go off for practice, and my teammate just turns to me as we're about to get up. He goes, "Drago, man, you are slow as fuck." He goes, "Even on the TV, dude." He goes, "Even on the TV, you are so slow, dude." I'm like, "I know, man. I don't know what it was." My our trainer in college, he said something about he goes like I just had like my first day of kind of like working out with him. And he's working out the whole team. He turns to me. I'm a freshman. He's like, Drago, man, you got bad genetics, and there's no way around it. But we're gonna do our best.
Oh. So is that humbling? Like you knew you had to work hard. In high school, you know this stuff, right? You know like what you're up against, but you still want. Like, what are your goals in high school for basketball?
Yeah, I think once I got to like 6'6", like once I had the height.
Yeah. No problem.
Yeah. Does it pick up, you think?
Yeah, it can all be taken care of.
Sure.
What's worse is this part now we're talking about it.
Okay. So for me, like once I got to 6'6", that kind of set I think a level for me where I was like, man, if I can't get a scholarship at this height,
yeah,
like that's such a loss. Like I feel like that's such a. I always felt like that. I was like,
waste.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, how could I not? I was like, I gotta figure that out. If I'm this tall and I can't get that. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah. And did the people around you, like, I'm sure your parents were like, you got it.
No,
you're gonna get a scholarship.
No. They were very. They wanted me to, and I don't think they ever thought I would until I got one when I was like a sophomore.
Really? They didn't like believe in you?
They were like, I think they were very hard on me, and I think they always I mean, dude, I'm telling you, that's how it's like unathletic. Like my brother was the star athlete.
Bobby.
Yeah, he was like the guy that was supposed to be, like a really great player. But then once I sprouted, I think they were happy with that. Once I got the first scholarship, then it was kind of like, okay, well, how far can I take this? I got an offer from like Valparaiso, I think.
I was just in Valpo yesterday.
Yeah, Valpo, and then like South Dakota State, maybe.
Are those
was the
D1
second.
schools?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Then Utah offered me. Like that was one of the first bigger schools to offer me.
And you got an offer from Notre Dame, or did you go to Notre Dame?
Yes, and then going into my senior year, I played in this tournament, like one of those shoe tournaments.
Yeah, Reebok.
And I just kind of played like my very, very, very best, dude. And I got a bunch of offers. So like from schools.
What other schools?
It was
you got
like
offers from?
it was like Xavier, Oklahoma State, Colorado. I think like Iowa. And then there was then my high school coach was, and then my high school coach called me and he said he got a bunch of phone calls, and then there's other Big Ten schools apparently, like they heard that I was going to visit Notre Dame, and they're like, he looks like a Notre Dame player.
True.
And they were like, if he doesn't go to Notre Dame, then we'll offer him. I think they said that.
Because they're just looking at who Notre Dame is looking at.
They were just like, it was just like Notre Dame. If you look at their 20, 30 years of like,
I know.
If you look at you just look at the schools like, white, like a white dude on the wing.
You fit right in. Like it would be like a roast joke about you, like in a basketball circle. Like, look at this Notre Dame looking motherfucker.
Sure,
like, that's how they would address you.
Yeah,
I think like you have a look because they like clean cut white guys.
Sure,
who can shoot.
Yeah,
Isn't
streaky,
that right?
But I can shoot. Yeah,
he's streaky. That's so funny.
I mean, yeah, and that's the thing, dude. Yeah, and that was also the thing too. That was like really, and that's why I had such like a middling career, like such a average whatever. Like it was the guys there were guys that I played with that were more athletic than me and could like shoot the shit out of it, like shoot the shit out of the ball
consistently, more
consistently. Yeah, where you're like, yo, like how many are you making, dude? And it's I played with a guy. I was actually who was a little. I don't know. I played with this guy Lonnie, I was probably a little more athletic then, but he was like the best shooter I've ever seen.
Wow, but he's less athletic than you.
Yeah, but he was so good at shooting that it was like it was impossible not to play him, and I think that was like
wow.
He hit the free throw when I was at BC to beat Syracuse when they're number one.
Oh, I didn't even want to talk about that. We can get into the Notre Dame Syracuse game.
Dude, we were like a 6-20 basketball team, and Syracuse. This was a different team that we were when I was at BC, and Lonnie's at the line, and we were down one, and need to make both, and he swished, but like no rim. I'm like, this dude has the biggest dick ever. I'm like, that dude's a legend.
Clutch.
Absolutely. Yeah, man, it's a really the mental game is really, it's something I think that's also something that was really difficult for me.
The mental game? But it seems like you have a mentality. Like it seems like my read on you is that you had like a workhorse mentality instilled in you by your parents.
Sure.
Is that
totally
accurate?
100%.
How is that instilled?
How is that instilled?
How did they put you to that? How did they make you work so hard?
By telling you that you're not good enough all the time. That it's just not.
And this is dad, I'm assuming, more than mom.
No, my mom, both of them.
Wow.
Both of them.
That you're not good enough?
Totally. Yeah, it's a very I got second team All-State when I was a junior. It was just me and one other junior in the whole state that got All-State, and my mom was like, "What? That was great, but not first."
Not first
I
team?
don't think she understood the.
Oh.
Yeah. So she's like, "What's?" Yeah. So to her, it was like, even though I felt like personally, I kept like ringing these like bells.
Yeah.
Where I was like, man, like I'm like I'm kind of like a slow white dude, like who like his butts, who's like really, who's like I'm getting better, like I'm kind of, and I think my mom, I think every mom thinks that their kid should like play professional basketball.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So I can't blame her for that, but
Yeah, my parents are confused as to why I'm not on Saturday Night Live. They just don't understand. They just
your
don't
parents
get
think
it.
Your parents think you're like hilarious.
Oh, they think I mean, like they think I can.
Dude, that's
well,
amazing.
I told my mom, I go like I was like, you told me I could do anything that I put my mind to, and now you're reaping those results. Like this is your fault now. Like the fact that I'm not like a teacher and I'm staying in New York with a wife and 2 grandkids for you, this is your fault. Like
that's amazing.
You shouldn't have believed in me.
Yeah.
When you Google you, this is so cool. When you Google you, the first thing that comes up is your stats from basketball. Yeah. But then you click on videos, and I go, okay, this will all be basketball videos probably.
Right.
But it's not. It's basketball, Laugh Factory, basketball, Laugh Factory. It's such a cool mix.
Yeah.
I think it's a very few people have this exact perspective that you have.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's hard to like. I think people always like tell me that like you should like to like capitalize on this like experience that I've had, but I don't know how many people want to hear like I mean like I can talk, but I think, but the thing is like, you know, isn't the life of a basketball player, isn't that kind of covered in a way? Like, don't people cover that enough? Like, aren't there enough like 30 for the don't we know what playing in college is like? People say it's like, I mean, I think it. Now I do think it probably is it's a different story for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't think like, and obviously I have jokes about it, but it's like I don't think like doing a one-man show or something. It's like it wasn't like a huge struggle. It's like I kept like I was good at it, and then I played, and then I wasn't as good as like it was a. I obviously didn't go to the NBA, but it was
is obvious.
But it was a cool experience, and it's like it's mostly the questions that people ask are like pretty like, did it help you get girls? Sure. Did it did people like help you with tests? Yeah, or whatever.
How did that go? Wait, go into that real quick.
Like you have tutors and stuff like that.
Do they do your homework for you? Kinda.
No. There's you have like there's definitely tutors that like help you like get up to speed, that are really,
because you missed a bunch of class,
right, that are really useful. And it's like, yeah, like that's also true. It's like whatever you thought of the like college like athletes or whatever, it was pretty much, I mean, like
what is something that they wouldn't have guessed that is true? What is something that's surprising about your experience that they wouldn't have guessed, that they don't think about?
Something that you don't think about?
Yeah, something that you're saying that everyone can pretty much guess what it was like.
Well, I think a lot of people say they'll be like, wow, you got a scholarship to put a ball in a hoop. And you're like, dude, you are such a piece of shit.
And you're like, this first date is going terribly.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, listen.
I don't think it's going to work out.
Listen, Claire.
So
it's very like, dude, it's very like, yeah, your time is micromanaged. You are 18 years old and you have a boss.
Right.
Who is telling you.
Everyone else is in college. They're getting drunk for the first time. They're free for the first time. And you have like a more serious job.
You have a boss, and then he has people under him that are also your boss. And then they make sure that you are in class or working out from 8 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Every single day. And the pressure is unbelievably high, and it's really it's hard to explain sometimes, because you obviously get used to it, but like when you're a freshman and you're walking around and you're like, and then you're like you might get thrown in a game and you're like, man, like you're playing with men and you have to, and then there's expectation too. You have a whole, for a lot of the guys. Something that an old teammate of mine told me. He said every guy that we play with or against was the best player that has ever played at their high school. Basically, he's like every guy that you play with or against from here on out is a legend at their high school. And it's like,
with the attitude to match.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, that's so true. Every guy you play with has a lot of people that know about them. A lot of people in that are watching their careers.
They're famous.
Yes, it's a and even more so now. So it's
all these guys could walk into a Fuddruckers somewhere in America and get treated like a king,
and just they can get pancakes for as much as they want. But it's in a way too. It's like you feel that at 18, 19 years old, you're like, man, a lot of people know that I am not playing as much as I want to right now. A lot of people, even though they're probably going about their day and not thinking about you like that.
That you're not reaching your potential, maybe. Or
they're probably not. They're probably not thinking. But it's like they'll watch a game and be like, "Oh, he only played like 10 minutes." Like,
right. It's very vulnerable, right? Your successes and your failures are all very public.
When you miss like a shot, if you miss a three, or if you like miss a layup, if you miss a float, whatever, like, at least like 10,000 people are gonna. Not only 10,000 people are gonna see that. A lot of people are. If you're on ESPN, that's a lot more people are going to see that too. My sister was at Iowa, and just a guy came up to her at a bar who liked Notre Dame basketball. I think apparently, I don't know. I don't know that much about him. He walked up to her, and he's like, "Your brother's really been sucking the last few games," or something like that. And my sister was like, "My sister's like, I'm just at the bar." You know what I'm saying?
like you're dealing with fame.
To a degree. I would hate to, because I definitely wasn't.
Degree, but there's no other way to describe what it was.
Right. I mean, there's guys like the guys. I was never in the top 2, 3, 4, whatever.
There are more famous people, but you are famous. Like to that guy who saw your sister at the bar, you are famous. My brother remembered you.
Right.
From the SU Notre Dame game.
And I can't, even as a guy who was when I was expected to play well or expected to be a big contributor, I know what that's like, even if it was only for a year or two when I was playing, it wasn't all the time, but I know what that's like. And that is for the guys that are counted on to get 15, 20 points a night at that level. That kind of pressure is just it's next level stuff, man.
For Notre Dame too, like Notre Dame was a franchise, right? Like people, they got hats to sell across the whole country. Like it's a huge business,
right? And again, wasn't I was not a top guy, but even I think for my role, I felt what that was like.
So talk to me about Notre Dame. So you got the offer and you're into Notre Dame right away. I'm going to go to there.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. My I verbally accepted the scholarship. I signed my national letter of intent in November, and then
of your senior year.
Yeah, and then my every other kid's applying for college, right? And so apparently our assistant coach was supposed to send us the form of the application as a formality.
Yeah.
So you basically fill out a page and a half, or
you have to apply to Notre Dame. You've already signed the letter of intent,
right? But
now you're applying to college.
Because my assistant coach forgot to send the application, he hit me and the two other recruits up in the spring, and he goes, I'm gonna fax? He goes, I'm gonna fax you the letter of or the application right out on that application. Because you know how most kids they fill out 2-3 pages or whatever on an application.
You write an essay.
Yeah. I filled out my application in a free period on pencil. I'm in my free period. My buddy comes up to me and goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "I'm applying to Notre Dame right now." And he's like, "What?"
The way you apply to Pizza Hut, where they give you a piece of.
I swear to God, I filled out 2 paragraphs. And it was and I put my GPA down or whatever. I swear to, and then I gave it back to
extracurricular activities.
I think I went to the principal or somebody's office, one teacher, and I faxed it back. I think I was talking to a teacher that I was close with. I was like, "Hey, I need to fax my application," and he was like, "Okay, cool." But it was it was a very informal. I got in on pencil.
Well, the basketball part, the school part was informal. The basketball part was very formal. I'm sure I know people do did you have a ceremony when you signed your letter?
Yeah, it's
they have that at our schools.
Yeah, when you sign your letter of intent, there's my coach put this on for him, but it was just like, you sit in like the cafeteria.
Yeah.
And you just like, they get it filmed and like you sign the LOI.
And there's is it like a tablecloth?
There's like a couple reporters there.
Yeah.
I mean, for like bigger, like there's like, for guys who are like nationally ranked or something, there's like a whole Sports Illustrated or whatever is there. I just had like our local paper.
It's in the paper.
Kind of cover it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, man. It was it was really cool. And then the whole year you're kind of like that's a time definitely where you're like pretty high on yourself. You're like, yeah.
Senior year of high school.
Definitely high on yourself.
Were you popular and stuff? Because I mean, like obviously, yeah.
Yeah. Always popular. I mean, like
of course.
Yeah. I think any of the guys that are like on the sports teams or whatever, they're usually pretty. But I think yeah. But again, it was like very. I think that's just kind of it's hard not to like be kind of a douchebag.
Yeah, of course.
When you're like you're on a good team, you're a good player, you're going to it's like when you're 17 years old, and I think when you're 17 and like all the people around you, like I had a trainer who was like in his like 30s, I had college coaches who were talking to me all the time. And then you have all these. My parents are you have all these like adults in your life, these coaches, and you have all these people that are like telling you that like you're awesome, all the time, and you're 17. Not a lot of 17-year-olds have like adults just kind of always telling them that they're great.
I mean, I had a choir director and a musical theater director, but yeah.
You just have this like eventually it gets to a point you're like, yeah, maybe I'm awesome.
So in high school you had the hype. You get Notre Dame, I'm sure that there is a big change in your your experience.
Immediately don't play as a freshman.
The hype is the hype got maybe that must have been hard on your ego, because ego's big going into Notre Dame, I imagine, right?
Yeah, it helped that we were actually like one of the best teams in the country.
Notre Dame.
Yeah, so there was a guy in my like one of my seniors was like, man, he's like, how many freshmen are playing on like a top 10 team right now? And
You guys were top 10?
Yeah, we were a great team. We had some really great players.
And you were like, where'd you rank in the you were benched?
Yeah, I was like 9th, 10th guy. I was like just like me.
Yeah. Would you go in the last 2 minutes if you were winning by a lot or something?
Yeah,
nice.
Exactly. So it was like those you play garbage minutes. So that was like
garbage.
Yeah.
Minutes.
So it was like I was like, okay, well we're a great team. But yeah, then the next year I was pretty fortunate. I got to play
sophomore year.
Yeah, sophomore year I got to play. I was like in and out of the starting lineup, and that's kind of like why I transferred. I lost my starting job, so I was like, fuck, I gotta.
So your sophomore year, you're not in the starting lineup. Was that when the Syracuse game?
Yeah.
You knocked off Syracuse?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's I think that is the, that's one of the more, I think that's one of the harder things to deal with as a kid when you're like, when you experience like the dream.
Yeah.
You hear your name in the starting lineup, you play a lot, and you're that. It's like that movie. What's that movie, like 15 Feet from Stardom?
Yeah.
Like they have like the singers in the back. Like, when you're like the sixth man, you're not like as counted on as much, but it's still obviously you're still out there.
Yeah.
But it's like, when you are playing, when you get promoted and then demoted like that at 20 years old, you don't know how to handle that. I didn't know.
Ego point of view.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
that was your at the end of your sophomore year.
That was towards the end of my sophomore.
Were you guys
year.
Going to the tournament?
Yeah, we were in the tournament, and then
in the NCAA March Madness tournament.
Right.
For if you're listening, you don't understand.
Right. Then we played in March Madness.
But you were getting benched at that point.
No. Then I played.
Played.
It's like I was off the. I can't again. Sorry. It's like it's hard to like when you. Yeah. Like and then I played in that game, but I was still
the first round.
Yeah, I probably played like 15 or 20 minutes or something like that. And
against
then, who? Xavier. So then, but I was still pretty like bummed that I wasn't like what, because again, when you experience like I had a streak of games where I was like one of the guys, or whatever, and then even though like in hindsight, I probably for like a team that good, I shouldn't be counted on as one of the top guys. To experience that and then get the demotion.
Yeah.
It's a very that's taxing, man.
One time you told me we were talking about like stage fright and kind of like bombing and comedy stuff, and you go, honestly, dude. I mean, I mean, once you get benched in front of 20,000 people and your parents, bombing is a little easier.
It is.
It gets a little easier.
It is. Yeah. It's a very when you man, like when you have when you're on ESPN and you're not getting minutes and you know your friends are watching, some of your friends are watching, you're like, man, this is that's hard to do, especially if you used to play or the game before you were playing. Or
So I want to talk about the sophomore year at Notre Dame. You're having good games. One of them is against Syracuse. What do you remember about that Syracuse game? I told the story wrong when I'm talking to Sam Talent. I want to hear it from your point of view.
Yeah, Syracuse was God. This is so man. I hate feeling like Uncle Rico right now. You know what I'm saying?
No problem. I know I'm asking you. I'm very curious. As a Syracuse basketball fan, please talk to me.
They were coming to Notre Dame. They're number 1. They were 20-0, and I was.
Who was on the Syracuse team at that time? Do you remember? What year was it?
Yeah, they had like Deion Waiters and Chris Joseph and like Scoop Jardine.
Scoop to the hoop for 2.
Yes.
That's the guy that Dome would say.
Yeah.
Scoop to the hoop for 2.
Yeah. And I had just gotten taken out of the starting lineup for this game. And but I knew I was going to play, but I was just so bummed that I had just again I literally want to say it probably feels like becoming a cast member at SNL or something like that, and then being mid-season going now you're a writer. I really feel like that's probably the best.
And that's where you're at during that game. It was mid-season. Syracuse is 20-0. They're number 1 in the country.
Yeah, that's probably what I can equate it to. Okay. And I was and again, it's still such an unbelievably cool experience just to be on the team.
Yes, of course.
I was so bummed that I was mad, and we get to the game. I'm like, whatever. I'm like, whatever.
Yep.
And then you get out and then you walk out and the place is an hour.
Was it in the Dome?
This is at Notre Dame.
It was at home. Okay.
Yeah, and then the place was packed an hour before the game. You're like, that's where that gets you a little pumped up. You're like, damn, okay. And then everyone on my team, we all kind of played out of our minds. We all played great, and that was probably when the fans stormed the court. I got trampled. I remember
going back though, your performance during that game.
Yeah, I mean this thing. It's not. That gets hyped up. I had 10 points in the game. I had
clutch threes, right? I don't remember the. I don't remember.
I mean, there was. I hit some threes that helped us get the lead that we maintained. Yep. Played down the stretch. Other guys had better.
What do you mean down the stretch?
Down towards the end of the game.
Okay.
But really, it was just I played the whole game basically after coming off the bench, and it was just that experience. I feel like that really that made it. That makes every practice worth it. Every game, every practice worth it, because we got trampled. I was under thousands of kids. I remember this guy was chest to chest with me. We were on center court. This fan, he had painted on his chest. And we're just looking at each other I don't know if we're gonna get out of this dog pot. It was kind of scary for a second.
Oh, you were on the ground, chest to chest with a guy?
Yeah, he was dude, it was.
That's dangerous. You could get injured. Your body is important.
People were swimming, pulling us out, and it was that euphoria or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what that high. I would be shocked if I ever topped that because of the.
Yeah, you have the joke about if I have a kid, it's is this kid better than beating the number 1 team in the country? Yeah. I don't know. That's so great.
Yeah. It's my wife's isn't this the best moment of our lives? I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's up there.
It's up there for sure. It hits. Yeah.
It would be because of the immediacy of it, you're just it just hits you.
The victory, the pure victory. It's you don't get those in comedy, especially at this level.
I think, I imagine.
No equivalent.
Yeah, I imagine like I don't I honestly I don't I guess if I know it I'll know it, but especially when you're that
It'd be like opening for Chappelle, and then he goes, "Actually, I want you to close the show out, please. Dale, you're so good that I want you to go on after me instead of before me."
what if you did a comedy show so good that the people at the show like stormed the stage and then like trampled you, and it was on ESPN? Like I don't know how to that's the thing. Like, I don't know how to equate it, dude. Like what if that's what it would feel like?
Yeah,
if
yeah.
everyone at like a theater, like a 10,000 seat, they trampled you.
And they said it couldn't be done.
Yeah, and like Doris Burke is like, this is the greatest day in the history of Alex's life. Like literally.
We've never seen comedy like this before, ever.
Doris Burke is like, I've seen Chris Paul, I've seen LeBron, I've never seen Alex do an hour of, it's like, but yeah, it's like.
Do you believe in miracles?
Do you believe?
Yes.
I mean, seriously, that's why it's hard to, but on the flip side, I'd say just like for, if you kill at the Laugh Factory, if you kill at Zany's, if you kill at one of the, at like a packed club on a Saturday, man, that feels pretty damn close to
it's
a
lot of
games.
It's a great rush too.
I'd say.
At the end of your career at Notre Dame, you're playing in that tournament. You're not getting as many minutes as you want. How far did you guys go in the tournament that year?
Lost in the first round.
To Xavier.
Yeah.
Okay. And at that point, you go, next year I'm transferring.
Yeah.
What was that decision like?
Pretty tough. It was tough to choose a school, I think, but then, I guess I didn't realize. I don't think I realized like the impact of it. I remember I was dating a girl at this time, and I was taking calls from all these coaches like one day, and I'm like my 10th or 11th call with another school, and then I just look over and she's just like bawling, and you're like, oh shit, I didn't even realize. I'm ruining this girl's life, dude. Like, it was
Right. The equivalent would be like you're with your girlfriend and you're texting other girlfriends like, who's gonna be? I'm looking at prospects. Sorry, babe. I'm looking.
Like it's a very the whole time I was just so immersed in it.
She's not transferring.
Right, and she was so supportive the whole time. She was so supportive, and then but the thing was, once I was taking those calls, I don't think she could. Then she was like, really, that was hard for her.
It's too real.
Yeah.
Before we leave Notre Dame, I want to talk about you on media day interviewing the other Notre Dame guy. That's
Mike?
Still one of the top 5 clips of you on Google. Unfortunately, is you having a good time. You're a sophomore. You're making a little joke interview with your fellow teammate.
Sure.
You're clearly the funny guy on the team. Because everyone, I can hear other guys cracking up behind the camera.
Sure.
It's quite a funny. It's a cute video. It's 2 kids talking. You look like a kid. Have you watched that recently?
Yeah, I haven't watched it recently, but I know what you're talking about. I just think, yeah, man. I don't know. It's a very like. I was always like, I think anyone who does comedy seriously, or like who gets into comedy, you just always feel like. We're always like looking for a stage in some capacity.
Yes.
And then we find it with stand up. So my stage was like a locker room, I think for a long time. And
you were the funny guy at Notre Dame on the team.
I tried to be.
Yeah.
I tried to be, that was the thing too. I think that was something that like really that really like I really wince like when I look back on it. You know what I'm saying? Is that the right term? Like
I would, yeah. I mean, like, see, to me it's cute, but I know watching you'd be cringing. But to me, I'm like, this is a 19-year-old kid. I'm old enough now where I see 19-year-olds as kids. Like,
I know,
you're a
but
cute
yeah.
kid making a fun video.
I know, but I was just like, I was the guy in the locker room trying to make jokes, and then I was the guy at the party trying to make jokes, and it was just like, who's this big, lanky, and it's just like, you don't realize that like that, you just needed like an outlet,
Yeah.
So you're just like an annoying like douche for years trying to make people laugh, and then you get to, but it's really like you just didn't have, I just didn't have the, I
know exactly what you mean.
You know what I'm saying?
Of
I
course.
don't know, man.
I was the goofy sub. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, what is this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm crushing in these rooms. I'm crushing these.
Yeah,
classrooms.
I thought I was crushing,
but you weren't.
I did. I also remember that. Like, yeah, yeah, I've had a couple of times where friends were like, dude, can you like relax? Like you're just, so it's like it's really nice to now just be able to be in a social setting and be the quiet one because you've already.
Yeah, I like about doing comedy parties now where it's like I could do bits or I could try to exchange information. I could be like, oh, where'd you get that jacket? Or like how are you doing? How are you and your girlfriend doing with comedy? Like just like asking them a genuine question. It's a little better.
Well, yeah, because now it's nice that when you hang out with friends, and like they'll be like like, and then there'll be friends of friends somewhere, and they will have no, like you'll just be so quiet because you're just coming from a show.
Yeah. You don't need it anymore.
And then they'll be like, a friend will be like, yeah, my friends, like, they don't believe that you do stand-up because you were so quiet. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, of course.
Because you're just like, because that's, now, it's really nice.
Yeah, it's nice when it's surprising to people. That is better.
Whereas, like, in college, I think I was so annoying that people were like, can somebody get this guy, like, something, I don't know. So.
Well, and like you were saying about like every guy here was a legend at his high school. It's like now that we're hanging out with all these comedians, like every guy here, every girl here was the absolute funniest person in their high school. They hosted the talent show.
Oh,
they did a pep rally sketch that floored everyone.
Yeah, that people were, yeah.
Right, I was singing and dancing in front of the whole school. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Needed it, man. Needed it. So
then BC, why did BC appeal to you?
It seemed like a good offense at the time, and I liked. It was really at that point. It's like once you go to a school like academically as good as Notre, you don't really want to compromise.
It's good academically too, BC?
Boston College?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like apparently it's like a top 30 school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like a lot of, on the East Coast, like a lot of kids that didn't get into like Dartmouth, or if you didn't get into Georgetown, you went to Boston College. Okay. So it was like the same thing.
And you thought you could start also?
Yeah, I thought I could.
Were you told you were going to start?
I was, and I did. And then the same thing happened. It was like, well, he is really slow. He is slow. It's I couldn't guard anyone at that level, man.
Because you couldn't keep up with them.
Yeah, it was, and because I played on the perimeter, and there was just everyone at my position was faster and quicker than me. So
they get around you, like
sure.
like they're scoring on you.
Yeah, and it was like, okay, well,
did you guys run zone or man?
Man, and at every school. So it was like. We ran zone sometimes at Notre Dame, but
you run the 2-3 zone, you could end up being number one in the country.
God, I did. It's weird that more schools don't
the 2-3 baby
don't prioritize that. But yeah, I mean, it's.
I run 2-3 and pickup sometimes.
I've played that. I will leave pickup games when that happens. That's like against like the law
of pickup
basketball.
Yeah, true. It's not part of the culture.
Yeah,
but you end up running less.
Yeah, I know.
Which actually is bad for me because my biggest asset on the basketball court is hustle.
You're the hustle guy?
I just have conditioning, and guys my age, no one my age has. They're all fucking smokers and shit.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I only play a couple times a year now, and when I do play, I just try to like be a garbage guy too. Like I'll get a lot of rebounds.
Yeah,
kick it. I'm not like trying to outshine anyone.
Trying to shoot.
So
at BC for junior year. Oh wait, your transfer year. So you went to college for 5 years.
Yeah, okay. I just sit out a year, and that's. That was the year that was pretty wild for me. That's why I got into a sketch comedy group, so that was really
that
cool.
First year, that transfer year. Yeah. Oh, cool. So how does that work?
I was walking through I was like I needed something to do. I felt like.
But aren't you also playing? You're practicing full time, right?
Yeah, I think there was programs at Notre Dame. I did like some like film writing programs that I was really into. And some short form play stuff, and I just walked around the activities thing. I saw there was a sketch comedy group audition.
Nice.
And got into the group, and those became like my best friends today. Like it was a very revelatory experience.
So 3 years at BC.
Yeah.
You were closer with that sketch team the whole time than the basketball team?
It was pretty. I think there's definitely guys on the team, but. They ended up being my like longest lasting friends, like my closest friends even like after it cut. But I was around the basketball guys. Like I would have parties at my place off campus where it was literally like half football and basketball dudes, and then like half like improvisers and like sketch and radio kids. Like
Great party.
It was like dude, you would see like you'd see hipsters like grind. It was a hectic. Because obviously,
grinding. What?
I'm seriously like you would because like obviously the football guys would control the music, right?
Yeah.
So football dudes would control the music, but then you're seeing like people that I hung out with like straight up on the dance floor in my living room, and it was like a very weird. People are like, you'd see like just some like scrawny little dude with like moppy hair, like passing a joint to like a football dude in his sweats. You're just like, this is cool. You're like, this is really cool. So
you were able to socially balance between those two groups at BC.
Yeah, I wouldn't say like I married the two, but it was. But yeah, I was very like I was really once I got in this group, it was just like a bunch of kids who were like. Guys who were really into music like me, guys who were really into comedy like me, and they had friends who were even more into music than like I had ever. It was like a very like.
Yeah, you have great music taste.
Thank you.
You're discovering. You're always popping up new bands, popping up new songs, and
posting
bands.
stuff on Instagram. But it was like, I met a bunch of because you're only hanging out with athletes a lot, and then I just got to meet a bunch of like really. Cool and interesting people that are still just like my best friends, and I think it was important to have that. I think like a lot of times when you're an athlete in college, you just you're like in this kind of bubble.
Oh yeah. We had the D1 kids at my college, and it was like you didn't talk to them, and there was like some people who broke through the bubble, but then it's like now you're in that little weird bubble where you're like
sure
you're on their schedule kind of like they like had their own clique. You know what I mean? Obviously.
Yeah.
So at BC, like I imagine over the course of your 3 years at BC, you're slowly gravitating towards those sketch kids more, and you're getting less into basketball, especially like your senior year. You're talking about you got benched.
Yeah, it was basically like after like my senior year, I would just like leave practice, go to my buddy's place. We'd like hang out, listen to music. And like go to this dive bar called the Silhouette, and like hang out, and a lot of times like on weekdays we'd go downtown and like we'd go see bands, and it was just like it was kind of like then you're definitely like kind of living two different lives in a way.
Yeah. And were you starting to lean towards the comedy life? Obviously, that's the life that you went with after college was over.
Yeah, I think it was. I more so just like kind of wanted to. Like relax. Yeah. I think my senior year I don't know, I also had like I started to get playing time my senior year, and then I hurt my shoulder. So January of my senior year, I hurt my shoulder after I was told I was going to start like playing more.
Yeah.
And then that's when I really said I was like I think I'm done
with basketball.
Yeah.
Forever.
I was like I can't believe cuz like I hadn't been playing, and then I started playing well, and then he started playing me more, and he's like, you're going to be the first guy in against Duke.
Sixth man.
Yeah. I was like, okay, this is what I'm used to. I can play these minutes, and I hurt my shoulder, and I'm out for like a month, and I was like, you know what, dude, like, fuck this shit. You know, it was like, it literally was like, man, like, because I kind of like worked my ass off to get back into the lineup.
Yeah.
And then, it was like from, I think that second semester, senior year, I didn't go to a class. I just kind of tried to figure out what I liked, and it was just and then I started going to open mics a little bit. And
in Boston, you were starting there while you were
that was like in May.
May of your school was over.
Yeah,
and you're still at your place in Boston, and you're going to open mics in Boston. That was your first open mic.
Couple, that's where like I remember seeing like Sam Ike a couple times, and like Ryan Donahue.
Yeah,
like, and it was just like okay, this is what I want to do.
How was that transition?
Difficult. Everyone told me not to.
Everyone. Parents,
friends.
What did they want for you?
I think my trainer wanted me. My trainer told me he would like get me like workouts with agents, and then start to go play overseas.
Oh right, that you could have done that.
Definitely.
And what do they make?
Man, I don't know.
It's like a decent job. It's like it's not you're not like making NBA money, but it's like you're making like better than your 9 to 5 friends.
I would say.
Or
I
as
mean,
good.
I think the first year it's like a tryout year for a lot of guys. Yeah, I mean, you're definitely making enough. You're definitely making like probably like a standard 9 to 5 out of college. But then like that second year, if you play well, that's when the contracts really grow up. I didn't really have great stats, you know.
Okay.
So, but they'd be taking me off of like playing at a high level,
Yeah.
or playing in the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
But I think my shoulder was too messed up. I think I had to have surgery.
So
it was
you
like
didn't really think about that as an option.
I was just like, dude. I was like, I'm not gonna go to Poland and like play.
Where does this like self-sufficiency come from? Where does this like? Because it's like all I'm hearing is that like all your life people are telling you what to do and like how to think of yourself, how to think of your own self-worth, and you seem to have like an internal motivation and like you have like an internal compass.
That's an interesting point. I don't know, man. I think it was just like I think to me, I think I just took the game. Once I hurt my shoulder, that was a really. I was like, there's no way, I'm gonna. I was like, It was just like I really felt like I took the game as far as I could take it.
But then how do you think of yourself as like I'm gonna be a good comedian? Like how do you convince yourself like that's gonna happen?
To me it was like I don't think it was like it literally was like I think I had exhausted like all of my resource. I was totally tapped out, man. Like
Okay.
I was like
With basketball.
yeah, it was like I was like I don't think I could have like done one more practice where it was just like
Yeah.
I'd really trained that hard. And I think the kind of that like with Olympians in a way, something like that, where you're just like it was so taxing.
Yeah.
I really did put a lot of time into it, and then it was just kind of like, well, what else do I want to do?
Yeah.
And
then how's your mentality going into comedy when you're starting comedy in Boston, thinking about moving to Chicago?
I just
or
felt
moving
like
back home?
I just felt like if you do like no matter where I think if I learned anything from basketball, it's like no matter what, if you're doing what you love, no matter where it takes you, you're gonna be pretty satisfied with what the outcome is.
And how long did you love basketball?
I still do.
You still love it.
Oh my god.
You still love playing it.
I watch the NBA every night.
Yeah.
I watch League Pass every single night. And yeah, I think that it helped me like if there was like just finding something that was like that gave me cuz I got a desk job like right after, and I was like in the summer after, and I was like, oh shit. That's also that'll make you really decide what you want to do
When
more
you
than
have
anything.
the job that you the right job.
Right, because if you get a job out of college and you're like, oh, like if I climb here and make this money, that'll be great. Da da da.
Yeah,
but if you sit, I think if some people like me, for me it was like I sat in that desk and I was like, I can't be this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So if that was maybe if that had been, I think also starting to work a 9 to 5 and just wanting to do something, I think I was just going to tell myself I was going to do it for like a year, go hard at it for like a year.
Yeah.
And then it kind of went well.
It did go well, man.
So I don't know.
It did go well.
I don't know, dude. But it was but then it was just like, it was so addicting, that,
Yeah, how does
I
it
wanted to
compare?
keep-
Does it feel? How does the working at one compare to the other? We talked about that at the beginning. Like, how did you experience the transition? Like, how did it feel working at one versus working at the other? Basketball versus comedy.
I don't think it really felt. It wasn't like as seamless, but I liked the. Like when you're writing jokes, it's kind of like when you're in the gym on your own, and then when you're on a show, it's kind of like when you're in a game. And I was like, this feels right. This feels like I knew how to. I felt like I have an idea of like how to like get better at something. But But yeah, it's a different, it's a team game in basketball. But I I don't know if like the approach is much different, but I really just liked. I don't think I don't think it was a competitive thing. I think they're two very different feelings in a way.
Yeah, how are they different?
Um,
And do you prefer the comedy feeling to the basketball feeling? Although you already said it wasn't going to live up.
yeah, like making people laugh versus like playing basketball. There's I don't know. I don't know, man. Like, why do I guess some people like Chris really likes cooking.
Chris Higgins, yeah.
Why does he like cooking as much as comedy? Why do I like basketball as much as comedy? Or I like comedy as much as basketball? They're great feelings. Getting, I guess in both ways for basketball, it's performing.
Yeah.
People are watching you do something.
Do you think that the competitiveness that you learned in basketball has hurt you in comedy? Because I know comedy could be competitive, and like,
No.
and some people, you think it's good.
It's just I think it's like it hasn't. It helps you learn how to take a loss well.
Yep. Yeah.
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 So it's like if you have a bad day, what's important. You know how to stay present and how to also move on. You know how to not dwell on the days before. So that's the really great gift that sports I think gives you in certain things in life, where it's like shit. If you're going after something, it's like, well, the bad day doesn't like define you. You know that there's other opportunities. I mean, a perfect example is I had a Notre Dame coach come see me when I was a junior, and I played like one of the worst games of my life, and they stopped recruiting me.
And then they did again later, but yeah.
Then they saw me again.
You bombed.
I bombed.
Yeah.
In my junior year, and then they saw me like 6 months later, essentially killed or whatever.
Yeah,
and then I got so it was like, so I knew that like staying, that like that's what about, obviously, things are different now. Like we don't know. This is a weird world that we're in, but
COVID.
Yeah, so I think that's probably something.
But competitiveness in comedy is bad for you, whereas competitiveness in basketball is good for you. That's kind of my hypothesis. Isn't competitiveness in comedy kind of bad? You're friends with these people, and you have to be like, I'm better than them, I'm worse than them, I'm, like they're better at this, but I'm better at that. Like they're better at crowd work and being loose, but I'm better at jokes.
Sure.
Or like their jokes are better than mine. That's all bad.
I think competitiveness in comedy is healthy. I think it's good to see when your friends are improving. That's also good to be around that, right? Like the iron sharpens iron type thing. Like the better, like when you're around that type of, it only makes you get to a higher level in a way, right?
Yeah.
Do you think the competitiveness? What do you think the competitiveness? How does it hinder somebody's growth?
I mean, like part of it's evil, like comparing yourself to people and thinking you're better than people, and like getting into that, like it's a bad mental space where you're like, why did they get that? I deserve that. Like sure. I'm great. Although I think you need to have a balance. You need to have some of it in order to get up, get out of bed, and go do the thing. You need to be like, I got to go prove myself today. I don't think like artistic expression is going to get you out of bed and get you to that third open mic or whatever. Like it's not going to it doesn't drive you as much as like, I want to be the best. I want to be as the best I can be, at least. Like I think some of it's important, but like some of the worst depressions I've been in have been because of like comedy comparison and like a bad show, or like coming to terms with how good I thought I was versus how good I actually am,
Right. I think that does. I don't think that that's like evil to say, to be like, to see someone improving and then, but you're saying
wanting to improve.
But you're saying, but you're saying in terms of it's like opportunities or whatever.
I mean, I don't know. I'm saying I just think that like
You think it's evil to like to
not evil, but it's bad for you. That's the poison. Like jealousy is poison. You know what I mean? Like this stuff is bad for your mental health. Like to like think negatively about people or to think like that to think about what you deserve and me, all that stuff is not good for you.
right.
Your soul.
Yeah, you try to think about it. Yeah, if there's anything like if I were to think about it in a certain way, it's like this. It's like okay, here's how I think about comedy and what like basketball kind of brought to me about it. So it's like if you let me gather this for a second.
Take your time.
Yeah, here's how sports really like helped with comedy.
All right.
Is like if you're playing on a team, like you see the team from you and the team, right? Like you see the team from you and down, and the coach sees the team from like from like his perspective. Like it sees the team in like a different, and like it's like a reverse pyramid, right? You're the top of the pyramid when you're on a team. The coach sees it from like the bottom in a way, and up. This is my right. And the same thing with people that are booking clubs or whatever. Club bookers are not trying to hurt anyone. They're not trying to. They don't want anyone to be mad at them.
Yeah.
The coach of your team doesn't. They just want to win.
Right. They don't care about each ego. They care about the top of the pyramid, which is like the victory.
People in the industry don't want you to not succeed.
They would love you to succeed.
Right.
They want you to be the next big thing. They want to pick the next big thing.
If you were doing something that so it's like
they want to have a great show at Zanies or whatever.
Right. So it's like, in a way, you can't be like if you're looking at what is going on in your life in a way or something. If you're looking at it like why didn't I get picked or why? If you're looking at if you're looking at like they shouldn't have got picked, it should have been me. And in a way, it's like it's way easier. I think to look at like, well, I guess you got to look inwards in a way. You got to be like, well, what else?
How could I have been better? How could I have been the guy who got picked instead of like they suck? They should have picked me instead. It's like, well, did you go and were you at that audition? Have you been at that place? Do they know about you? Have they seen your stuff? Have they seen you do well?
Right.
It's like, what can I be doing? Can I get faster? Can I get a better shot?
Yeah, there's a lot of people where I'm like, okay, if like Comedy Central came to you and said, pitch us a show, like, do you even have that? Like,
right.
We have so many. We know so many people who have nothing. Who don't. Let me rephrase this. There's a lot of people that I think. It's like you got to be way more practical.
Yeah.
You got to be way more. It's like, it's like, yeah, like do I think sometimes you got to think, okay, well, am I doing more interesting material than this hack that keeps like getting more spots to me? It's like, well, yeah, it was like, well, if I can figure out a way to kill as hard or harder than that person who's doing that, then it's the only thing you can do, probably.
That's what you should do, right? Yeah.
But it's like
instead of bringing them down for some reason, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the thing too, where you just got to look at the only thing you can do is like look at your weaknesses.
Yeah,
I think that's what sports. Let me rephrase that. If basketball taught me anything, it's that like when comparing myself, it's to look at my weaknesses. Probably, I think that's probably the best.
That's a gem. That's great.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. And like at first, I was kind of buckling at the idea of like. Because, like, part of me wants to be like, Drago, just renounce sports. Tell me sports is bad. That's what I want to hear, is that sports is bad, art is good. That's what I want to hear. But it's like you have undoubtedly taken lessons that are good for you, and that would be good for anyone else to hear, obviously.
Right. Because, like, when you're on a team and they're playing a guy at the end. Sorry.
No, we got to wrap up.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, let's wrap it up.
All right. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, when you're on a team... You're an individual.
When you're on a team and if you're not playing at the end of the game, it's like why? It's like, oh well, that guy is better at guarding this person. It's like you just have to like until you get better at that thing, then you're not going to play.
You got to get better. All right. What's your Twitter? What's your Instagram?
At Alex Drags at @AlexDrag_.
Very fun stuff. Laugh Factory videos are killer.
Thanks, dude.
Is there anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I feel like this was a confessional, and I regret almost every minute of it.
I'm so happy that we were able to do it. I really appreciate you opening up about all this stuff. It's so interesting, and people know about it, you, but they don't know everything. I don't think, and you don't talk about it very much, which I respect you for.
Oh, thanks, man. I try not to. Yeah, it's like
Shoehorn it in.
Yeah, it's a very.
Someone's like, nice weather you're having. You're like, yeah, it was pretty nice weather. Also, the same day I played in the March Madness tournament.
Yeah. It's a
good weather.
Yeah, it's something that I think that you get asked enough about, then you stop talking about it.
Yeah.
Yourself. So
great, man. Well, thanks a lot for doing it. It's good to see you.
Thanks for having me, dude.
No problem.